Okay, cool. So, I'm just gonna be talking about how to create interest with your post to attract people for whatever you're trying to enroll in. So whether you're trying to enroll for a boot camp and trying to fill that up, or trying to add people to your team, how you can effectively post in order to attract people who are interested in that, and really simplify the process for yourself. Because I know when I was teaching full time, posting was often like the most overwhelming part of it for me, because I was just so busy that when it got time to like putting my post up for the day, when I was on my lunch break during work, sometimes it was just kind of like this feeling of panic of like trying to figure out what I wanted to say, what I was going to put up, trying to think of something that like had value and was going to resonate with someone. And it was like often overwhelmed, and sometimes I would be so like panicked of like trying to put up the right like effective thing that like I just didn't wind up posting because I was just overwhelmed and panicking and couldn't think of anything. So planning ahead is definitely the most effective thing you can ever do in this business, because honestly, it's a time saver for one, because if you plan out what you're going to do, it is so much easier to just take those like 15 minutes to plan out what you're going to post about, kind of figure out like pictures and stuff and plan it out that way. And then when it comes to the day, you already have topics and things set out for you. So it's so much easier to write a caption on the spot if you kind of have something to go off of. Or if you're like feeling super inspired while you're planning, sometimes if I like had a topic idea and like already kind of was forming a caption and stuff in my head, I would just type it out on the notes in my phone and save it. So that way I already had it going for that next week if I kind of like felt inspired or whatever and had that thought process going. So I'm just going to jump right into it. So creating a plan, and I'm going to show you kind of how I broke it down into like a monthly plan, which is honestly not as intensive as it sounds. But the weekly plan is really what you want to focus on. And I'm going to show you exactly what that looked like for me while I was teaching full time, and how I really managed to attract people based on whatever I was trying to enroll in at that time. But it's super important to be intentional, and that's why it's so important to plan, to know when you have your next like online boot camp coming up, to know when you're going to be running an information session, or if you're using mine, to like contact me and see when my next one is, so you know that you can like plan out the posts to lead up to that. Because if you're not being intentional, you're not going to be attracting people who are interested in what you're trying to enroll for, or your posts aren't going to be as impactful as you want them to be. And honestly, your followers might be kind of confused as to what it is you do or what you have to offer them, because you're not consistently talking about a similar topic. So I'm going to break that down a little bit more. So why plan? It really helps to build interest in specifically what you're trying to enroll in for that time. So there's this awesome book. Who writes it? Gary Vaynerchuk, but it's called Jab, 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 Right Hook. And it's basically like a marketing kind of personal development book. So it's all about strategy, but it basically breaks down the idea of when you're posting on your page, you want to be giving value, 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 which are like your jabs. So you're showing people what you have to offer. You're explaining how things are working for you. You're explaining like the resources you have and like how it's affected your life. So you're creating interest over and over and over again with these jabs. And then you give the right hook, which is like your call to action on your page, where you've already kind of created this interest over time because you keep talking about it and bringing it up and different aspects of it. And so you're building like this anticipation, and people are like kind of thinking like, what is this girl involved in? Like, what is she doing that's working so well for her? And then you put up that call to action, which is where you pull in all those people who have now been following your journey over the past like week or 2 weeks and seeing you like consistently talk about this same thing. So you build up that interest there. So then when you put up that call to action about opening up spots in your boot camp, you have people who are interested in taking that next step with you because they've seen all this value that you've given. They've seen how this is working for you, and they've seen you talk about it like day after day after day. So they feel like they have this solid understanding of how it could affect and change their life too. And so it basically gives you like a platform to have more effective content because it's more strategic. It's more specific to whatever you're doing at that moment. So you're going to have a higher response rate because you're so consistent with the general topic of your posts. And as I talked about before, it saves time and you don't have that last minute panic of like, well, what the heck am I going to put up today? There we go. Okay, so your first thought when you're breaking down like what you're going to be posting about in the week is thinking about what you're enrolling for. So if you're enrolling for a boot camp, it doesn't make sense to be posting a bunch of stuff about like how being a part of this team has changed your life, or like why you decided to get involved in coaching and like things like that, because then you're just confusing people when you post something about opening up spots in your boot camp because you haven't talked about your boot camp at all. So you want to make sure that your posts relate to what you're enrolling for. So you want to think about post topics on your feed, Instagram story ideas, which is like a great way just to show the behind the scenes kind of stuff about what people would be like receiving if they're part of your boot camp. And I'll go into that a little bit more in depth as well. And then when you're going to post your call to actions. Okay, so just to give you guys like a jumping point and some like post topics and ideas to go off of, this is just specifically for boot camps, but you can kind of break it down for coaching as well if you're going to be running an info session. So just thinking about like, why is being on a fitness journey important to you? Like, why is this something you show up for each day? Because you're probably going to attract people to your boot camp who have that same vision for themselves or want to start their fitness journey for the same reason. Like my fitness journey posts tend to be a lot more about like self-love and like appreciating your body. I'm probably not going to attract the people who like are working out for like aesthetic reasons because we're just completely different in our reasons for working out. So I wind up signing up a lot of clients and challengers who are more like trying to find self-love and appreciation for themselves because that's what I post about. Talking about what kind of program you are doing right now and what excites you about it. So you can be talking about like results you're getting, energy you're feeling, the type of workout it is and why that's like fun for you. What have you learned? So that could be with like nutrition wise too. Like I used to talk a lot about like the portion containers and how that taught me a lot about like how to eat the right amount of food and to not overdo it on certain things, like carbs, and how to focus more on like eating more fruits and knowing how much I should be eating. What have you struggled with in the past and how have these programs or the meal plans or the community helped you overcome those things? And then documenting weekly progress, which is a huge thing, which if you're doing a program consistently, that's something you should be posting every week, regardless of if you're like enrolling for an info session or boot camp or what, because that's what we do as our job. That's part of the process, is you doing your workouts, and showing that weekly progress is what's truly gonna have people invested in your journey, but also is going to attract the most people to your boot camps. Because they're going to see your consistency, they're going to see that these programs are working for you, and that's going to create the most amount of interest that people are like, this girl believes in these programs and is consistently showing up doing them every single week and showing us her results. So documenting your weekly progress and showing that these programs work is a huge, huge factor in signing up clients. Okay, so then Instagram stories, as I said, great way to kind of document behind the scenes stuff. And these are just a few random ideas. So obviously this isn't something you have to stick to at all. but taking like a screenshot or a video of our online bootcamp. So I know iPhone, you can like screen record and stuff, so you can just kind of record like scrolling through and showing people like checking in. Or you can just screenshot the main page and it says like up top all the little face bubbles of people checking in each day. So it just kind of shows like proof of the fact that you have a boot camp, that there's people in it, and people can kind of see for themselves tangibly like what that looks like and picture it more in their head, like what a boot camp means. You can screenshot what you're sharing in the online boot camp, so you guys are welcome to share whatever in there as well. It's a space for all of us. So if you want to share a recipe or something, you can screenshot that and share it to your stories and be like, this is something I shared with my online bootcamp today. And then your followers see that like when they get involved in your online bootcamp, that you're sharing like recipes with them or tips about something, and that there's some kind of added value there that you're sharing beyond just like the workouts and support and things like that. A video explaining the meal plan. So if you go through like the program materials of the different workout programs, you can open up the meal plans, and I just try to, like when I'm recording, I try to make sure I don't get like the program title and stuff like that. And just, you can kind of swipe through and show them like it breaks down exactly like how to eat in a day, portioning things, and you can kind of just show them the different kinds of guidance they have and just walk them through it and explain how that's helped you, or like how you're starting a new program and that's how it's going to break it down for you. And then they see all that value there. You can take a video showing your workout setup with like streaming your workout, so they can see how like easy that setup is. And I've gotten questions before of people like asking like how I know what to do during my workout as well. So that's a good space to kind of explain, like I have someone who's a personal trainer that like I can take anywhere with me, and they literally like break down exactly what I have to do. So I have that guidance with me like wherever I go. A video showing the workout calendar. You can talk about how the community holds you accountable. So just all these different factors of like showing behind the scenes, which like obviously on your page, this wouldn't make a very like inspirational post, but in your stories, it's a great space to show them like, I just want to show you guys like this is exactly what people get in my boot camp. And this guidance is helpful for me because of XYZ, and just break it down a little bit. And it allows people to see all the value that they get when they join your boot camp, and to truly understand what you're doing at a deeper level, because some people just don't really understand, regardless of like how much you explain it in words on your page, or you know, talk about signing up people in your boot camps. Being able to tangibly see everything through video and see you like walk them through it just creates a deeper level of understanding there. And then call to actions. So transformation photos are always going to do the best. As always, there's a post in our team group on Facebook that has a bunch of different transformation photos you can use, but you should always include your own as well. And you can do this in your Instagram stories or on your feed. And so your call to action is going to be your right hook. So you're giving all that value, you're explaining like what this has done for you, why you're on a fitness journey, explaining that over and over. And then you give that right hook where you invite people to come and join you. So when you think about it on your feed, you should, 1 in every 7 posts should be a call to action. So you're giving that value, and then that right hook. But on your stories, you can do that daily because you post like probably 7 stories a day. So you can give that value in your stories, and then put up a CTA easily daily, just because of just because it's a more like a different platform where you share more consistently. So you're able to do that CTA every day and invite more consistently in that way. So to break it down, So if you look at the calendar, obviously this isn't a current one, but so the yellow star is boot camp start date. And this, I just like made this up, so these aren't real dates or anything. So say your boot camp starts on the 10th, about 2 weeks before you want to start sharing about fitness related things, meal plan related things, all of that good stuff. And not every single post has to be about that. Like you can mix in things that are happening in your life and other topics, but about half of your posts should be related to your upcoming boot camp in some way. And you can even put like a subtle invitation at the end during these posts. So you can say, let me think. Say you're talking about like how you used to struggle with finding consistency working out or something, and it was really hard for you because you just like didn't really know what to do when you came into the gym, but now like you have this resource that gives you more guidance, shows you exactly what you have to do, and it took all that guesswork out for you, so you find it that much easier. Whatever story you have to tell, that was a very good one. But at the end, you can say something like, if this resonated with you at all, like I'm here to help. And then you can put like hashtag link in bio or something to direct them to like a form that they can fill out to have you reach out to them and to contact them to join your boot camp. And that way it only takes up like a line out of your whole caption. So it's really subtle and it's not very in their face. And most of that caption is focused on the value that you have to give. But it's a really nice way to just consistently invite and really just show people that you have a resource to give and something to offer them without having it be like super in their face. And then you'll notice that you have like people just trickle in slowly and fill out that form every once in a while, because you have those subtle kind of like call to actions and invitations at the end of posts before you do like your big call to action that's like in your face, super obvious that you're asking people to come join you. And then, so I usually try to post about my boot camp, and then about a week before the start date, I'll post like that in your face call to action on my page. So that way I have the whole week leading up to it to have time to chat with those people about their goals and things like that. And I'm not feeling rushed to get them in this group, and I have time to really talk them through exactly what it is we have to offer and how it can help them. Info sessions is the blue star down here, and that one I don't take as much time for, just because it's a more of like a quick and more streamlined process, just because you already have like this specific info group set up that you're putting everyone into to get the information. So you don't have to kind of plan out the fact that you need to like have all these conversations for a week leading up to that start date of a boot camp. It's more like you're talking about your team and this opportunity, and then I'll put up a call to action a few days before the start of my info session on my page, and I'll be inviting a week leading up to that info session from my followers, people who are liking my pictures, people who I've been talking to on the side, maybe people who have asked me about it. And then you get them into the group. So at that point, you're just kind of focused on keeping everybody in the group updated and things like that. Let me see if I covered everything. And then during this time as well, when I have an info session coming up, I will post about it in my stories as well. So I did another team call that was on like inviting in your stories. So it breaks down literally example by example. You can see exactly how I do it and how other coaches do it, inviting to boot camps and info sessions. So I didn't include like examples and stuff in this team call just because you guys have that as a resource to go back and look at. But I basically just kind of break down my story and how coaching has helped me, and then I'll put a poll at the end, like seeing if someone wants more info or not. But that's really it. But honestly, having those post ideas, which I don't do it anymore just because I'm not teaching full time, but I literally Like, I started using a planner when I was teaching because it just eliminated so much of that overwhelm. And I would literally go in and like at the top of each day, I would just write post topic, and I would just write down like whatever I was talking about that day. And that way, when I went to go write my post for that day, I had that jumping point to go off of, and I had something to talk about without having that panic. But I also knew that it was related to what I was enrolling for, and that way I was doing it with purpose, and that way I was attracting people to what I was working on in that moment, and building that interest over time and connecting with people who had a similar health and fitness journey as me, or were looking to work on similar things. And it just allows you to be much more effective, not only with your time, but with the impact that your posts will have on people. Okay, so then I just wanted to leave it with this. You probably have heard this before, but you attract what you post for. So if you're posting, you'll notice that coaches who just focus on like recruiting more coaches to their team, that's all they freaking talk about on their page. And that's because they attract what you post for. So they're attracting coaches and only coaches because that's all they're posting about. And then you have coaches who focus more on the fitness side of things, and they wind up signing up a ton of challengers because that's what they're posting for all the time. And those coaches usually will add people to their team by like upgrading their clients and turning their clients into coaches, because that was their focus. It was more fitness, it was more client based. So if you want to do both, you need to make sure that you have this balance on your page of sharing your fitness journey and having that concrete in stone, like when you're going to be sharing that leading up to your online bootcamp. And then if you're ready to enroll and sign people up and grow your team, you want to make sure that you're sharing that as well leading up to your information session, or consistently sharing that in order to create that interest for what you're doing. Because if you're not sharing about how coaching has helped you, or why you wanted to join this opportunity, or what you want to build this into and what your vision is, you're not going to wind up signing up coaches because they're not going to understand what this can do for them, or the fact like that this is something that could build an income, or this is something that they could involve themselves with as well, because you're not talking about it. Just like if you're not talking about your boot camp and how you work with people with their health and fitness journeys, and you have these programs to offer and that you're here to help, people aren't going to understand that you're a resource for them either. So making sure that whatever you're enrolling for and trying to sign up people for in that moment is what you're consistently talking about on your page. And honestly, when I was teaching full time, I just took about 20 minutes to do this every Sunday night. And then I had my whole week planned out of exactly what I was going to post. I did it with intention, and it allowed me to sign up a lot more challengers and coaches because I had this plan in place and because I was attracting what I was looking for each week. So that's just where I'm going to leave it. I don't know if you guys have any questions about anything. How do I stop recording?